Hey, this is Dirk Nowitzki, and you're listening to the Mavs Step Back podcast.
I like this, TK. I like that. Yeah, it's the Mavericks, all about action. Don't do no acting, no Samuel Jackson. Dirk get the ball, you know that it's magic. Post move deadly, yeah, get tragic. Look with the ball, yeah, get nasty. He'll drop 30, don't gotta ask him. Got Kristaps, coach at the Adam. I spaz like Dallas, I thought I'm rapping. God, if Luka shoot the ball, you know that it's cash. But my boy still looking to pass. Now you got my boy Kristaps, looking like Dirk and Nash in the gap. They just want a ring, wanna fill the gap on your team head. I ain't talking hats, dang, go relax. Still at the champs, defense still coming with the cannabis flow.
All right, everybody, welcome into another edition of the Step Back of Mavs podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I'm joined as always by my co-host and DallasBasketball.com colleague, Matt Galatson. We have another special guest for you guys tonight, but before we formally introduce him, Matt, go ahead and play that old intro we used to have for a second.
I'm too hot right now. Step back. Step back. I ball like the Mavs, running this beat like a lab. Luka Don chicken to step back, Lord, that boy need a map. Dirk in his bag, I swear I feel it in the air. Dirk in the game, snapping like a crab, but hit never fold when they in the jam. Dennis Smith Jr. coming with the jam, got the whole team cooking in the lab. I say I'm the best, I'm going.
All right, so as you heard, that's our old intro. It obviously says Dennis Smith Jr. coming with the jam. And sure enough, that's our special guest tonight, the one and only Dennis Smith Jr., Fayetteville's finest, former Dallas Maverick point guard. He's the current New York Knicks point guard. Dennis, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. We appreciate you coming on here and talking with us tonight. I know we had talked about doing this a while back, and you know it's the dead of the summer, and we finally got a chance to do it, so we really appreciate it. And before we get into our main topics here, how's your summer been? You been up to anything fun this summer?
It's been really productive. Not so much fun, just more so work. Really just preparing myself for a big year. You know, we come in as underdogs, which I enjoy, as you know. So, it's going to be a big year for us.
Yeah, because, I mean, this past season, you know, percentage-wise, you pretty much raised your efficiency. It seemed that you know, definitely focused on the defensive end, you know, last summer, getting better on that end too. So third season in the league, I mean, it's a big year for you. And I mean, how do you see the Knicks comparing with the rest of the league?
I think we're going to be a really good team. You know, we'll be able to come in and have the you know, a big toughness factor about us. You know, we got some really good guys on our team in terms of bullies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a good impact on the defensive end, and I think if we let our defense create our offense, we'll be pretty good for the season.
Yeah, well, Dennis, I mean, how's New York treating you? Are you enjoying it? And, you know, what do you think about the moves that you guys made this summer and, you know, in the free agency market?
I'm loving the city right now. They show a lot of love while I'm just walking around or if I'm in the building. You know, they show a lot of love to me, so I appreciate it. It's reciprocated on this end, and I think the pieces we picked up are really good pieces. You know, everybody can say this, that, and the third about what we've done this summer, but I think it was a productive summer. Our young guys, we're growing together, we building, and everybody gets along. You know, and that's one of the biggest things for having a good team is everybody getting along.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it's probably not the summer that everybody in that organization and the fan base and everybody envisioned at first, but like you said, it was still productive, and you know the team definitely got better. So, and I mean that's kind of how it went on the Dallas end of it too. You know they had higher expectations and didn't exactly go the way they wanted it to, but they also seemed to get better too. But Dennis, we're going to jump right into our main topics here. You know, your time in Dallas, it was short, but it was awesome. You know, you were always putting up some awesome highlights and getting everybody amped with your big-time dunks and your energy and everything. I mean, going off of that, what was it like getting to play with a guy like Dirk Nowitzki during what turned out to be his final 2 seasons in the league?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Watching Dirk up close and knowing all his accolades and being able to practice with him every day or I sat right behind him on the plane every flight. So you just really get to witness greatness personified up close. You know, you got to soak all of that in because it's not too many chances you'll get to have an opportunity like that. So to see a real franchise cornerstone or the greatest player ever in the franchise is a pretty awesome thing for me.
Yeah, was there anything like specific related to your game that he helped you with, or was it just more of like a work ethic thing from a distance?
His work ethic for one. I mean, like if we're gonna talk intangibles, his work ethic and just the way that everybody loves him. You know, everybody receives him well. He receives everybody with that same kind of love. He's just a great dude. But in terms of his game, the biggest thing is just confidence. You know, he'll tell you keep shooting no matter how many you miss. Like, you know, the next one going in. And I think you can tell that whenever you watch him play. You know, who else, you know, to confidently shoot 1-foot fadeaways. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
His confidence is a big thing with Dirk.
Well, Dennis, you know, Dalton mentioned some of your highlight plays and, you know, the energy you brought to the team last year. I'm curious, I mean, there's a lot to choose from, obviously, but what were some of your favorite moments in-game with the Mavericks?
Favorite moments in-game? It's hard to say because, I mean, even for me, it still go back to my first NBA win with the Mavericks against the Grizzlies, my rookie year. That's definitely my favorite of all time. But, you know, just really just being around a team like that was also a team where everybody got along. You know, I think it was a lot of stuff that got thrown around and misconstrued towards my last moments there. But people forget we were 6th in the West for a long time. You know, we had a really good team, and you know, just that camaraderie with those guys. I loved it.
Yeah, and I just me personally, if I had to pick 2 games that stood out to me. One, Dennis, as you know, I was always down there in New Orleans because, you know, it's closer to where I live, and
I remember that.
Yeah, that was where, you know, you notched your first triple double. It was like 21, 10, and 10, and that was one of my favorite moments so far for you as a Mav, when you were a Mav, I mean. And then the second one was this past season when the game was on the line and y'all were playing the Clippers, and Tobias Harris was going for the game winner, and you just jumped up and stuffed it. That was that was one of my favorite moments right there because, you know, there was a lot of stuff said the year before about you know, improving on the defensive end and everything, and that moment right there showed me like, okay, this that's.
So major shout out on the defensive end to Daryl Armstrong and Jamal Mosley. Especially Mosley, you know, they did a really good job of helping me learn the ins and outs on the defensive end. So that's where, you know, all that came from.
Right.
Well, hey, let's not forget against Portland, your rookie year, that highlight dunk that they kept showing all the commercials and all that stuff where you bounce it off the floor and dunk it. I was at that game as a fan. I had that night off, and I decided to go as a fan, and I took a girl on a date. That was our first date, and that was a good cap to the date, so I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You still with the girl?
Well, no, but
no, Matt's dating life. It's a revolving door right now, but
Matt doing his thing, man.
Yeah.
trying.
But moving on to the actual trade itself, you know, when it happened. Obviously, it's your second year in the league. It's right in the middle of that second season. You know, NBA seasons can be crazy, all the travel and everything. How crazy was it, you know, to be traded to a team that you literally had just dropped a triple-double on the night before?
It was super crazy, especially whenever you think of it like that. But, I mean, there's 2 ways that you can view it. You can view it as glass half empty or glass half full. You know, the glass half empty is saying, like, oh, man, like, the Mavericks don't want me no more, this and a third. Or you can look at it glass half full, like, okay, I had a good game against this team, and now they want to make a trade for me to come in and be that guy on this team. So, you know, I choose the glass half full approach with it.
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much everybody, at least from the Mavs side, you know, in the front office after that trade, when everybody was talking about it, everybody said that opportunity came up super quick. You know, at least that's what was said. You know, everything happened quickly, and they just, you know, decided to pull the trigger and everything. But like you said, I mean, obviously the Knicks wouldn't make that trade if they didn't value you a lot. And Obviously, you're ready to take a next step next year and prove exactly what you've got with a full season in New York. So that's good. And Dennis, before I let Matt ask this next question, I gotta say, it just turned to August, so the NBA schedule is going to be released here pretty soon. What would you think about having a Mavs-Knicks Christmas Day game this year?
I don't think there's in Madison Square Garden. I don't think there's anything I would love more than that. To be honest, I don't think that there's anything I would love more than that. And I'm still good friends with everybody on that team. Like I just did Doe's camp. Luca called me every other week. Devin, I just did the baseball game with Dev, Dirk, all the older guys. I'm still good friends with everybody on that team, but I like to compete. So any chance to bust that ass, I'm good for it.
Yeah, because I mean, from every account, like you said, you're still close with everybody, and I mean as far as trades go, I mean it seems like it turned out really well on both sides. Everybody's still close and all that, but still deep down, and I think you said it last year in an interview with somebody, but you never got the chance to play the Mavs after the trade. And I know, that's something that players really look forward to after something like that. So maybe we can get that on Christmas Day. I think Christmas Day at Madison Square Garden, Knicks, Mavs, I think that would be pretty exciting.
I know you push for it.
Well, I mean, one of the things that I've been wondering a lot about in terms of the trade for you is, obviously Dallas is known as a little bit more of a relaxed media market, and to go from that into something like New York, which is known for being one of the more cutthroat media markets in terms of player interviews and things like that in the United States. How was that adjustment for you?
It's been pretty easy for me. Because really, with media, I'm gonna be me. Every interview I get, I'm gonna be me, and I think that's received pretty well for the most part. And then on top of that, I don't really care what they say. So
right.
I think that's what makes it easier for me to be me, because I don't really care what they say. So I'm comfortable going to speak with any media member. It is what it is. They're gonna put out whatever they want to put out, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, that's the best way to go about it. I mean, you just got to let it be like water off a duck's back, and like you said, just be who you are, and everything else will take care of itself. Well, Dennis, like you touched on it a little bit earlier, but you do have a strong bond with your former teammates and people within the organization, and you attended Dirk's celebrity baseball game, like you said, Dorian Finney-Smith's basketball camp. Why do you think it's important to keep those relationships going?
See, this is how I view it. I don't really view it as important to keep those relationships going. It's more so of a thing like, I built really good relationships with those people to where we actually are friends. We get along off the court. We can hang out off the court, call each other, talk, whatever. And, that was my first time coming into the league. I came in the league as a teenager, 19 years old, played 20, 21, all in Dallas, So these people done seen me so much, and I spent so much time with them. It'll take something drastic that's a real-life event outside of basketball for me to not become close with them anymore.
Well, I mean, going off of that, obviously you're really close with Dorian, and that was evident throughout your entire time in Dallas. Y'all sat next to each other in the locker room. Yeah, and I'm curious what you think about his growth as a player, and about him getting his new extension here in Dallas, and what you think about his future.
No, I think he's definitely grown as a player. With him, it's confidence as well, but He got that mentality. He from Portsmouth, Virginia. I just went to Portsmouth for his camp. Portsmouth is just like Fayetteville, except it's in Virginia instead of North Carolina. So we similar in that aspect of how we came up and then making it to the league. So I salute everything that he does. I know he's gonna make a lot of money, take care of his family as he's supposed to. So I'm glad that he's an official millionaire now.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I definitely miss, about you being in Dallas was the Smith way. which, I mean, it's still going even though y'all are on different teams, but it was cool to see that connection up close when y'all are on the same team. But Dennis, we're going to close out with this, and again, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight. And you might can answer this, you might not, but I'm going to throw it at you anyway. Could you see yourself playing with the Mavs again sometime later during your career?
Only the future knows. I got a lot of love for the city of Dallas, and it's reciprocated. So we'll see what the future holds. Can't give you a yes or no.
Hey, that's as good of an answer as I could have hoped for, man.
Yes, indeed.
But Dennis, like I said, we appreciate it. We wish you nothing but the best of luck with the Knicks this year. We know you're expecting big things, and we're expecting big things too. So, Dennis, we appreciate it, and we hope you have a good weekend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Same to you guys.
Thanks, Dennis.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, guys. There goes Dennis Smith Jr. Again, can't thank him enough for coming on with us. And I mean, I think it says a lot about the guy that he's willing to do something like come on to a Mavs related podcast 5 months after he was traded to another team. So I mean, that was fun. I'm sure we'll get him sometime later on in the future, maybe the next time he attends Dirk's celebrity baseball game or something of that nature. But guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the other side to discuss all things Mavs and a little bit about the Dennis interview. Hang with us. All right, guys, we're back. Again, that was Dennis Smith Jr. You should know him well, former Mavs point guard. He's the current New York Knicks point guard. Matt, what'd you think about our talk with Dennis there?
It was a lot of fun, man. He's a fun guy to talk to, and it's pretty obvious he doesn't hold any hard feelings towards Dallas, and
no,
that's really good to see, because a lot of times players can get disgruntled if they're caught off guard by a trade like that, or if they just if there's just a nasty break, which I think a lot of the stuff that happened with him got blown out of proportion by the media. It's good to see that he's willing to do things like this, and he still holds Dallas in high esteem and the team and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, I always said it, even when that stuff was going on towards the end of last season. He's a good dude. I mean, we were hearing stuff from all different places, but we weren't actually hearing from Dennis himself. And I think he it's like that thing, actions speak louder than words. I mean, he's shown that there's absolutely no hard feelings. I mean, obviously I am scared, for the first time he he gets to play the Mavs next season, since he didn't get that opportunity last year.
He's going to come hard, man.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of worried about that just from a Mavs fan perspective, but I mean, like we talked about, I think it would be absolutely great to have a Mavs-Knicks Christmas Day game. And well, I think if that happened, it would definitely be at Madison Square Garden, because they always give the Knicks a Christmas Day game, and the Mavs haven't had one in, I believe, it's been a decade since the Mavs have played on Christmas. So I think there's a lot going on there for that to actually happen this year.
Well, I think it's going to be pretty funny if they do get that game. But, what I was thinking is in terms of how hard he's going to come for that game. Do you remember Westbrook in that series against Golden State? Where
yes.
He was just like running right at Kevin Durant, like, I'm coming. Yeah. Like, I feel like he's going to do that with, like, probably with, I don't know if he's going to do it with Luka or what, but I envision Dennis just, like, running his mouth and getting real into it. And I want to see that. Like,
I mean, I do too. That's like old school stuff. That's stuff that you really miss in today's NBA. And that's one reason why I really think that game's going to happen, and I want it to happen because there's so many. Because, I mean, not only from Dennis's perspective, looking back towards the Mavs, but think about KP. Kristaps Porzingis, he would be super motivated in that game too from the Mavs side. So, I mean, I think
playing in front of New York like that. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I just the storylines are too juicy for that not to happen. So I'm really pulling for it. And like I said, I mean, the NBA usually releases the schedule. I think somewhere between the end of the first or the second week of August. So we should be finding out pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, that would be awesome, and I mean, it would all be in good fun, of course. Maybe not from Porzingis's perspective. He might literally be looking for blood on his end, but with Dennis and the rest of those guys, it would be fun for them.
I bet Dorian would start that game.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. Like you said, it's probably going to be like a Westbrook type of coming at you game from Dennis, but I really hope that he doesn't do some of the stuff that he was doing to Luka, during some of those pickup games before last season started. If you get in a one-on-one situation, I don't know, man.
Just dunking on his head.
Yeah, I mean,
it could happen.
Yeah, I mean, you can't help it. It's going to happen sooner or later, but I don't know. I think it would be a ton of fun. But yeah, Dennis, he's a great guy. I mean, we connected about halfway through his rookie season. There was a point where he wasn't getting any calls whatsoever, and there was some website, maybe it was 538, but somebody put out an article that he was like third on the list in missed calls in clutch situations. But earlier that season, this was when I was still with Mavs Moneyball. I wrote this article about how the NBA refs were rooking him. He was being rooked by the refs, and that was when I tagged him in it, and he retweeted it, and we connected that way. So we actually connected through Twitter. And, it just kind of went from there. And we had been planning this pod interview for, probably 4 months or so. And then it finally worked out here in the dead of the NBA offseason to get it going. So that it was really nice to have him on. And like we said before, we'll have to do it sometime in the near future.
There's one thing I want from Dennis next year that he never gave us in Dallas.
What's
and
that?
I have faith that it's going to happen eventually. So next season, why not? I want him to dunk on Draymond's face. Just right on Draymond's face.
It almost happened.
I know.
Almost happened.
He just missed it, man. And I need to see that happen. I don't care that he's in New York now. I just need to see it.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing about Dennis, and I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a great dunker altogether, but I think he's a better in-game dunker than he is, doing the dunk contest and everything. Even though he's had some cool ones there too, I think he's a better in-game dunker. And I'm like you. If he posterizes Draymond, I think everybody wins in that scenario.
Yep.
But
even the Warriors.
Yeah. But moving on from that, we're going to talk about, I guess, what I would label some dead of the summer topics. And one of them is 2K. So NBA 2K20. It's going to be coming out. I'd imagine it's going to be coming out sometime in September. I'm not exactly sure, but they released their gameplay trailer today. And they didn't have Luka in that trailer. I mean, they showed Porzingis for like maybe half a second doing some kind of weird hook shot over Mitchell Robinson, but they didn't show Luka. And I mean, for the reigning Rookie of the Year, it's like, why is he not in there? But then I was thinking, like, well, Luka is the NBA Live cover athlete this year, so I'm wondering if there's like some saltiness there from 2K. What do you think?
I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat like you. I just, they focus mostly on stars and that, like, veteran stars. And the fact that the Mavericks, coming off of a lottery season, even got a little glimpse of KP in there, I think is enough.
Well, the only thing that even made me question it is I remember watching a trailer last year for last year's game, and it showed Luka throwing up a lob to DeAndre Jordan. So, I mean...
Yeah, I get it, but, like... in the end of the day, it's like, it's 2K. So I think that the things that sell the most copies for that game are, like, the Clippers and the Lakers and all that stuff.
Right, but they showed
all the
KP.
Things that happened this summer. Okay, but like I get it, but like that was for a split second, and he is technically the headline grabber in Dallas right now because he's the new shiny toy, and he's the one that is going to be on the front of everything. And when the season opens next year, it's going to be him and Luka standing right next to each other. They can't really show both of them in the same clip unless it's a lob. So I'm not really too worried about it.
Well, and again, after getting my initial thoughts on that out there, I have heard too that it could be like a rescan issue, like as far as his face scan and all that. Because if you think about it, Ronnie 2K he sent a tweet to Luka and he was just like, "Hey, I DM'd you your screenshot. Feel free to share it with the fans." Well, we haven't gotten that official screenshot yet. So if for some reason Luka wanted to get a rescan or didn't like it or whatever, he has to fly all the way from Slovenia to Los Angeles just to do a 2K face scan. And I highly doubt he's going to do that right now. So if something like that's going on, then that makes a little bit of sense too, because he's not going to fly all the way there just for a video game, especially when he's the cover athlete for this other game. So
okay, so I'm watching the trailer as you're speaking, and I have to admit I do have some problems that he wasn't in this thing now.
Dude, I know, because
but
some of the other players that are in there, they put Buddy Hield in there.
Well, yeah, but they put like Jared Allen and DeAndre Jordan and like Malcolm Brogdon and Lonzo Ball. I mean, what has Lonzo Ball done in the NBA? Even
if it is a face scan issue, which would, I would get that, but even if it is a face scan issue, you could do like a back shot or something like they did with Buddy Hield.
Derrick Rose is in this trailer.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's not just that they left Luka out. It's some of the players that they went ahead and put in there. I mean, even if it is for a split second, I don't even care if it's him throwing a lob to Porzingis like he did with DeAndre in last year's trade. Just something. Just give us a little bit of something. But anyway, like I said, it's August 1st. We're just yelling into the void about stuff at this point, but it was something that kind of irritated me, especially since that's who I'll be spending like 90% of the time playing with when I get the game. So
yeah. So speaking of 2K, aren't we supposed to have a little boxing match on 2K?
Yes. Well, I haven't checked the results of that poll yet, but on the Step Back Mavs Twitter account, we put out a poll asking if you guys would want Matt and I to battle each other in 2K and talk trash and all that stuff and see who is superior at the game. I haven't looked at the results of that poll, so I don't know what you guys voted on, but Matt, I know it was a lot closer than what I would have hoped.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people just picked the second option because I called us dorks, and I think they wanted to do that as well. So.
Well, I mean, we'll probably do it anyway.
I've
never Twitch streamed anything before, but I mean.
Well, I mean, we also never did a podcast before January, and
That's true.
We tend to get the hang of things pretty quickly.
But what I was going to say is I have a stipulation for that game.
What?
Neither of us can be the Mavericks.
I'm fine with that. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I mean, we'll do updated rosters, so the parity thing will be in full effect, and yeah, I think that's fine. If you had to, if we did that right now, and you couldn't be the Mavs, what team would you pick?
I might pick the Rockets.
Oh no, Matt! Why?
Just because I feel like they're going to be a fun team to play with on 2K. And I hate the Lakers, so I got to...
Man. Well, I mean, I guess if you're going to pick a team like that... No, you know what?
I mean, we can establish some rules here.
Yeah. I'd probably be the Nuggets. I like the Nuggets. I like the way they've built their team.
Okay. Well...
All right. Anyway, moving on to something else here. Matt, I know you saw it. I'm sure a lot of Mavs fans on NBA Twitter and all that, I'm sure they saw it too. But Luka, he's not one of these people that post a lot of workout videos, workout pictures during the summer. He goes about his business fairly quietly. He gets so much spotlight during the season and everything that you can't really blame him for wanting to be as private as possible during the off season. But all that said, the other day, a picture surfaced. He put it on Instagram. It was him working out. It looked like he was on a track, had some kind of restraining rope around his waist. I'm sure it was tied to some weights or something. And Matt, he's looking really good. He's looking like he's in probably the best shape he's been in. So that's different from what happened last year, where he came into training camp. He was a little out of shape, to put it nicely. It looks like it's a complete 180 from what happened last year, and I'm pretty excited about it. What do you think?
Man, he doesn't look like Don Thick anymore.
It's Don Thin.
Yeah, it's he looks like he's doing exactly what Casey Smith and Rick Carlisle wanted him to do this offseason.
Yep.
Because he was a little out of shape last year, and you saw that early in the season, and it got better as the season went on. But to see him putting in that work, and he looks like he's dropped at least 10 or 15 pounds and turned some of that into muscle. And,
and obviously
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, and obviously when I say he didn't come into training camp in shape last year, obviously I'm just talking about like NBA shape, because even when Luka's out of shape, he's like 10 times more in shape than I'll ever be.
Well, yeah, me too. But he also had a refrigerator full of sausage and beer. So.
I remember that. It was like Poli sausages or something. He put that picture
Poli
on
sausages and like Corona or something.
Yeah, that was so funny because the whole purpose for that picture was promoting the sausages, and then when you looked at the bottom drawer of the refrigerator, there was just like a full thing of what looked like Coronas. It was hilarious. Yeah, and this was mid-season.
Yeah, and technically he wasn't of legal drinking age, so it very well could have been his mother's. We don't know. Yeah. But Dirk, when Dirk was in his prime, man, he didn't even have a glass of wine during the regular season. Like he didn't have a drop of alcohol.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Luka dabbed in it a little bit, but who knows? He still had an incredible year. So the fact that he's like actually in real good shape now, and he still has months to go before he needs to be in, tip top shape.
Yeah,
I'm super excited. He looks like he's just gonna run through people.
Yeah, and this is the upside to him coming in as a rookie and proving that he was what everybody thought he was. He didn't just live up to expectations; he surpassed them. And his game is so much like a veteran already. Obviously, there's still some stuff he can work on. He can get better in pretty much every part of the game. But, I mean, he's already more refined at some skills than what most people are, given his timeline, that, the Mavs could afford to send him off this summer and just like, okay, Luka, you literally just have one objective, and it's to get in the best shape of your life. Like, don't... and obviously he's still doing stuff in the gym and working on, different skills and all that stuff. But, the main thing is him getting in shape, and it looks like he's done that. And like you said, I'm super excited. I mean, we get a completely in NBA game shape Luka, second year, a fully healthy Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, that gives me chills just thinking about it.
Well, another thing is a lot of people listening to this are probably going to think, well, he only shot 32%. Maybe he needs to work on a shot from three. But I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that, and Rick Carlisle touched on this a little bit during the season, a lot of that had to do with him taking, bad shots at the end of the shot clock because they didn't have anything else. And, he ran out. A lot of it was because he was running out of gas. And when your legs get heavy and you're running out of gas, it's hard to make shots.
Exactly.
So if he's in better shape, I think more shots are going to fall, and with better spacing on the floor, with KP and Curry and all that going on, I think he's going to explode out of the gates next year. Yeah,
and I mean, look, he shot 33% from three. It was 32.7, and that was on 7 attempts from three per game. I mean, first year in the league, 19, eventually turned 20 later in the year. And, you're basically just carrying the team, especially after the midseason trades that went on. I mean, he just, you said it, he ran out of gas. And he's got more help this year. He averaged, what, 6 assists per game last year. And that was without having, a lot of three-point shooters. And this year... Huh?
Sorry, any three-point
Well,
shooters.
yeah, any. Harrison Barnes, he turned himself into a pretty good three-point shooter last year, or the last couple of years. But, the way he played the game, it kind of, nullified any positive effects there. But anyway, he's got Seth Curry, which I think, we've discussed it before on the pod, I think he is a really underrated addition this summer, because I mean, think about it, 45% from three for his career, and I believe Bobby Corrala pointed out a couple of weeks ago that Seth Curry on corner threes for his career is 50%. I mean, he's just a good shooter. It's in his genes. It runs in the family, and he's going to be getting a ton of open looks, playing with Kristaps Porzingis and Luka. So I'm really excited about that. I don't think Luka, now if he wants to take 7 threes per game, more power to him, but I don't think he's going to have to do that this year, and I think that's going to help his percentages.
Totally agree.
But, just talking about three-point shooters, and in this case, 3-and-D guys, my guy Josh Reeves. Reeves Hive finally got his two-way contract. And I kind of figured, after Kostas got waived and, Antonius Cleveland got that other two-way, I was thinking, what? That's probably going to be the next move, given how much, we had Coach Gallinopoulos on the pod a few weeks ago. He was raving about Josh Reeves. Mark Cuban was raving about Josh Reeves. There was so much positivity for him coming out of the organization that you kind of assumed he was going to get either the 15th roster spot or another two-way. So when Daryl Macon, yeah, I almost said Gerald Macon. He's one of my friends in the Dallas area. Shout out to Daryl. How you doing, buddy? But yeah, when Daryl Macon was cut, it was like, okay, they're probably going to give that to Reeves, and they did, and I'm really excited for him. I mean, I will admit I'm guilty of, jumping in the deep end with these two-way contract players more often than not. But Matt, I really feel like it's different with Reeves. He seems to have more NBA ready skills right now, to where I think all he needs is, a shot to prove himself, and then he'll stick. But there's no telling when when he'll get his shot, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get why you're excited. I'm not as excited as you are.
Obviously,
which is usually the case. But the main thing I like about what they did with these two-way contracts is they got two wings, because they needed wings. So there's a chance that either of these guys, most likely Reeves in this case, seems to have the better shot, will actually be able to have a chance to get on the floor. Yeah. Which is exciting for young players at position of need to get a chance to crack the rotation. And, I've loved everything I've heard about the guy. It's hard for me to get excited about two-way players or 10-day contract guys and whatnot. But if he can have the same kind of impact that Yogi Ferrell had, obviously they're different games and they do different things, but as far as just straight impact, then that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I like Antonius Cleveland too. He showed some really good stuff during Summer League this year, but the Mavs have already been down that road before. He's gotten a couple of cracks with real NBA minutes, and he didn't really do anything with it the first time. Wasn't able to stick. So they've already been down that road. So there's more. There's not as much reason for me to be as excited for that. But Reeves, he's something new. He's something that we don't know what he's going to do when he finally gets a shot at it. So that's why I'm really excited about him. Everything I've watched from him since Summer League started, and he blew up with his awesome play there. It's just really made me excited to see what he can do going forward. And like I said, he might not even get a chance to play this year, but being on the two-way, he'll be able to play with the legends, and he'll still get to come and work out and practice with the big leaguers. So I think it's a win-win for both sides.
Well, one thing I'd like to say about that is, a lot of people assume just because he wasn't drafted that he's not good. He's not capable of producing at the NBA level. And I just want to make sure that everybody realizes there's a lot of missed hits in the draft, and there's a lot of players that slip through the cracks. And there's countless examples. Just off the top of my head, Marc Gasol, DeAndre Jordan, Draymond Green, Isaiah Thomas, Manu Ginobili. All of those guys were late second round picks, or just second round picks or late second round picks. So it's like, just because there might be reasons he slipped, there might not be. Maybe he just didn't have a good combine or whatever. There's plenty of reasons, but he deserves a shot just like everybody else. And he showed in Summer League that he can hang and do some really good things. So if he can translate that to an NBA floor, why not give him the shot?
Yeah, the only thing I heard was, that he should have left a year earlier from Penn State because he didn't have as good of a senior year there as he did as a junior. So, he probably would have been drafted if he had left his junior year. But, when you go back for your senior year and you don't have as good of a season, and then that's one more year that NBA teams can't, develop you, you're now a 4-year guy. I think that had something to do with him falling through the cracks. But, he was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. If you look at other players, he was one of the best players in that conference. And
that's a good basketball conference.
Yeah, it's a good basketball conference, and he held his own. He was one of the best. I think he averaged 2.5 steals a game or something crazy like that. The guy's good, and he's getting his chance with the Mavs, and I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
But do you think Luka could have done it in the Big Ten, though?
I don't know, man. We'll never know. We'll never know if he could have done it in the Big Ten. I would, in all honesty, though, I would have loved to have seen Luka play NCAA basketball.
I wouldn't have liked that. What I would have liked is to see Real Madrid just play like a five-game preseason thing against bunch of like elite college teams, just so they could have wrecked them, and people could have been like, "Whoa, European basketball is actually pretty good."
Well, see, I don't know why teams, and I mean I don't know who all competes in these. It's not any big time tournaments, but you have these invitationals, before the season starts, and I don't know why they don't do more of that like they used to. Like my grandfather, he passed away in like 2008, but he was a huge basketball guy. It's where I get my passion for basketball, and he was a huge Southern Miss basketball fan, and that team used to travel overseas and play teams like that, just exhibition games, and it made the team better. It was almost, I want to say it was like during the off season too. I don't know why teams don't do more of that now. I'm sure there's a lot of, I don't know if there's like paperwork stuff that has to be worked out. I don't know how the NCAA handles that kind of stuff. I mean, probably poorly like they do a lot of other things, but
yeah, I mean, it has to have something to do with NCAA rules.
Yeah, but I wish they would do more of that. That would be so much fun to me.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I want people to realize more than anything else that European basketball, specifically the one that Luka played in, the Spanish league, is the best competition in the world outside of the NBA. It's better than the D League.
Yeah.
At least at this point. Now, can the D League catch up to that? Maybe. But right now, any team in La Liga would, or probably in other leagues too, would just trash a D-League team.
Yeah. And
it wouldn't be close.
Yeah. And look, we kind of jumped down the rabbit hole there, but just going back to Reeves for a second and him, maybe not getting a shot. I'm glad that they gave these two ways to shooting guards because, I mean, you think about it, who's the main two shooting guards on the Mavs right now? It's Seth Curry and Tim Hardaway Jr. And both of those guys have had trouble with, recent injuries. Now Seth, he was pretty healthy last year, so I'm not really worried about that. Tim Hardaway Jr. seems to be 100% now, or at least his dad said so on NBA Sirius XM radio the other day. So maybe they're good to go, but like I said, they've had recent injury history. If something happens to one or both of those guys, I mean, we might be seeing Reeves get a shot in the league sooner than later. I don't know. I don't think that particular situation is a good thing for the team overall, but I mean, hey, what can you do if that happens?
No, yeah, I totally agree. He could get a shot sooner than we think. I mean, injuries happen all the time.
Yeah.
And Hardaway, his injury, that whole stress reaction fracture thing, whatever it was, that's a scary thing to have. So
yeah,
that I wouldn't be surprised if they, maybe try and ease him into things, and at least give Reeves shots during training camp and preseason stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we'll get into this next week. We're not going to talk too much longer about it, but I think Tim Hardaway Jr. has a chance to be a dark horse contributor next year. I think if he's used correctly by Rick Carlisle, we could see more of the Atlanta Hawks Tim Hardaway Jr. than the New York Knicks Tim Hardaway Jr. And guys, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Like I said, we'll discuss all of that other stuff next week. We'll get into, whether or not the Mavs second round pick Isaiah Roby, if he's going to stick or not, and we'll continue to truck our way through this dead part of the off season as we get closer to Mavs training camp, preseason, and eventually the 2019-2020 season. So, guys, we appreciate it. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to the Step Back on your favorite platforms. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to shoot us a DM at StepBackMavs on Twitter. Again, I'm Dalton Trigg. It's my co-host, Matt Galatson. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week.
Got my boy Kristaps looking like Dirk and Nash in the gap. They just want a ring, want to fill the gap on your team head. I ain't talking heads, dang, go relax. Still at the champ, defense still coming with the cannabis flow. The man's the best on the flow. I'm wild, but yeah, I'm the GOAT. This game get cold. Yeah, you might need a coach, your friends turn into your foe. But I'ma just roll, gotta keep rolling your boat. Yeah, I swear I give them hope. I say I'm cleaner than the soap. This time of year proves who will really sink afloat. For yeah, real. It's the Mavericks, all about action. Don't do no acting, no Samuel Jackson. Dirk at the ball, you know that it's magic. Post move deadly, yeah, get tragic. Yeah, it's the Mavericks, all about action. Don't do no acting, no Samuel Jackson. Dirk at the ball, you know that it's magic. Post move deadly, yeah, get tragic. You know, in this game, it's a lot of grit. You know what I'm saying? Proves who has integrity. Late nights, early mornings, but we all want the trophy at the end of the day. And that's the beauty of this game, because at the end of the day, only the real gonna float, man, for real. You either sink or you float. Only the real gonna float.